Now, uncertainty remains in Nigeria as the 2025 tax reform laws takes effect. Citizens and small businesses worry about fairness, transparency, and the impact on livelihood. Concerns rose after claims that the gazetted laws differed from what the National Assembly approved. The House of Representatives set up an ad hoc committee to investigate, with findings expected before plenary resumes on January 27. Implementation has started, including the shift from the electronic money transfer levy to stamp duty, now charged to the sender. Experts stress careful, transparent rollout, protecting low-income earners, and using technology to simplify compliance. Aggressive enforcement risks burdening households and informal businesses. The National Assembly's oversight and clear communication are key to restoring trust and ensuring the reforms support economic growth.
Well then, let's have that conversation. And we are being joined live in the studio by Honorable Philip Agbese. He is the Deputy Speaker of the Deputy Spokesperson of the House of Representatives. But of course, just put that in mind, Honorable. So welcome, Honorable Philip Agbese, Deputy Spokesperson of the House of Representatives. Well, it might appear as if we're obsessing over this issue. So before we go into the issue of, the new tax laws, something the House of Representatives might need to probably intervene again. The federal lawmakers had actually intervened in Rivers State before, and now another situation is brewing where your attention might be required once again.
Well, thank you and good morning to Nigerians. I believe, as a member of the All Progressive Congress, one firmly rooted in the philosophy and ideology of Mr. President as a leader of our great party, I don't think there is any serious issue in Rivers State to be worried about.
Really?
Yes, yeah. Why did I say that? Because, the governor and the members of the State Assembly are coming from another political party. They just came into the APC, and they are yet to be fully briefed. Yes, because they are coming with their old practice into our political party. You can see that the kind of crisis they've been having, we don't have it anywhere in the APC control states.
So they're yet to get the memo.
Yes, yes.
On how APC runs its own show.
Yeah, so I believe in the next couple of hours, our leaders are going to rein them in, talk to them, and give them our ideological perspective to how some of these issues are done. So I strongly believe that in less than no time, these issues will be resolved. We don't do things like this in the APC.
Sorry, is it about party issue or legal issue now? Because they've raised some strong allegations, or some allegations, 7-point allegation against the governor. And in the law, if this process takes place, as we can see, they're invoking Section 188 of the Constitution. If this process runs its course, it might have some dire consequences on the state and the political future of the governor.
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, yes, they are used to that kind of setup, a setup of brouhaha, and that has to do with their own political party. In the APC, we are very organized people. We understand the essence of governance, and we know that peace and tranquility are key essentials that are required for any government to function. And that is why at the national level you can see, the harmonious working relationship between Mr. President and even the Parliament. We want to see that kind of cooperation between, the governor. And to the glory of God, the governor is now a member of the All Progressive Congress as well as members of the State Assembly. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that whatever acrimony, that they had in their old political party, again, you recall that Mr. President intervened sometime last year when he invoked the state of emergency, and the National Assembly took over. And part of the issues that the State Assembly is even talking about, they are saying that the governor should represent the budget. This budget was duly passed, when there was a state of emergency. And the court has said you cannot query the things that happen during the state of emergency. So the state assembly, as a matter of fact, also do not have the power, to query the budget that was duly passed by the National Assembly. But again, that is just by the way. I think the most important issue is that there is a need for peace in Rivers State. There is every need, for Mr. President to bring the parties on board. And there's also a need, for the political actors in Rivers State to now understand that having left their old political party, they must, imbibe new ways of doing things that are in accordance with our doctrine in the APC.
Well, and let's bring it back home now, Benga, to the business of the day, the issue at hand. And of course, it's the concerns about the new tax laws. So I'm going to start from the point where the claims that the laws that were passed by the National Assembly or approved by the National Assembly differed from the gazetted laws. So, I mean, where does that leave the entire thing now that the National Assembly is even investigating, but the laws are already taking effect? So just in case the fact is established that what was passed by the House of Representatives and the Senate is different from what was gazetted, where does that leave our tax laws now?
Well, I wouldn't say the controversy is a needless one. We in the parliament, we view it to be very, very important and vital to the growth and sustenance of not just democracy in our country, but to the well-being of every citizen of this great nation. Because it has to do with, first, the government coming up with policies to say, we want to do better, we want to better the lot of our citizenry. And for us to be able to achieve this, there is a need for proper taxation. And the law came to the parliament. We looked at it, we scrutinized it, engaged Nigerians, and we came up with our own document, which now became, a child of the National Assembly. And this document was sent to Mr. President for his assent. Now, along the line, someone, a colleague of ours, highly respected, member of parliament, saw somewhere, not at the cost of implementation, not an official document released by the presidency, not a document being used for enforcement by the National Revenue Service. He saw somewhere in quote on the internet, he said, and from there he went further to a nearby vendor and obtained a document. Now, this is a cardinal issue that we have to look at. A law that has not been assented to, a law that has been assented to by Mr. President, but yet to be enforced and yet to be circulated, by the National Assembly. Someone saw it on the internet. So it's as good as null and void, what he saw on the internet. But because the issues raised in that document were also very important, because by our rules and the standard of proceedings, if laws have been passed and set as bill to the executive, the executive does not have the powers, to edit the laws. That was the issue, not the process that, the members saw it. So that was why we took it very, very important, because as people working together, in the interest of Nigeria at large, using laid down procedures, rules and regulations, it will be unfortunate, catastrophic, and totally disastrous, for the executive to embark on that. But closer scrutiny, that was why Mr. Speaker, had to, upon, the conversations around it, had to issue the official document that was passed and assented, that was passed by the National Assembly.
That's right.
So the moment Mr. Speaker did that, and Nigerians also saw what we sent out, then the executive, because somewhere along the line, they were being suspected, saw what we issued and said, this is exactly what is in force. So the issue is this. If you have a legal document, and the source of that document is the National Assembly, I do not think the controversy around that document or what was found on the internet is as important as the source of that document.
Okay, now let's get this clear. Are you suggesting that there are no discrepancies between what was passed by the National Assembly and what was being gazetted?
No. You see, this is the issue. You marked the script as a teacher, and the head of department has imputed exactly the score on the spreadsheet of the student. Now, somewhere along the line, another student is alleging that he saw the result of that student with a different score somewhere. Now, what is the authentic and official, process or institution?
Let's get this clear, Honorable. Honorable, it's important we follow this sequence.
Yes.
Okay, you've said that someone saw it on the internet, but afterwards,
yes,
we have seen key stakeholders and gatekeepers in this process also confirming that what was gazetted is different from what was being passed by the National Assembly.
And
there are some substantial portions that
the question
is
of
in circulation now.
No, my brother.
Like even the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Tax and Fiscal Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Idele, said that he questioned Section 41 subsection 8, which mandates a 20% deposit by someone who is appealing a tax demand. So a lot of clauses like that. So who is responsible for that
the alteration
insertion? Shouldn't there be someone answering question from that tax committee or from the Rules and Business Committee?
No, Benga. You see, we cannot put any blame on where you have not fetched this document from. If ordinarily, after the operation of the law, because some of these laws, when they are passed and gazetted, we come back as a parliament, to make copies available to members. And that is one thing that we have carefully done in this 10th House of Representatives, to ensure that at every point in time, bills that are in progress are circulated for the input of all the members and for Nigerians to also follow the legislative process.
So is the National Assembly saying there are no alterations now?
No. As far as we are concerned, we deal with facts. What we have issued out from what we pass
is what has been gazetted.
Is what has been gazetted. No member of parliament has queried what Mr. Speaker has released. So, and no member is saying any other thing has been imputed.
So you recall that when this scandal broke out, the National Assembly immediately constituted a
fact-finding
committee. So what are they actually investigating if there are no
alterations?
Very good. Very good. Remember that it was on the floor of the House that a member raised the issue of alteration. This is our practice in the parliament. If for any reason you come under the rules of proceedings of the parliament and you raise a substantial issue, irrespective of your political party or how beautiful or stupid the issue raised might look, we go into the nitty-gritty of that issue to look at it.
So what's the source of that alteration?
The man who raised the issue has told Nigerians that he saw it on the internet. And it is on the internet in Nigeria today that we see all sorts of fake documents. It is on the internet today that some people have even alleged that there are versions of the Holy Bible on the internet that have been altered.
I'm just asking that even the chairman of the Presidential Tax and Fiscal Reforms Committee, Mr. Taiwo Idele, alluded that there are alterations.
Yes,
alterations.
You see, and this brings us, to the critical constitutional responsibility of the National Assembly, Section 86, 87, and 88. How do we ensure that at the course of implementation of this law, whoever behind the scene that must have planted that false document somewhere on the internet does not in any way along the line find his ways to begin to implement something different from what the National Assembly has passed. And that again boils down to the duty and responsibility of critical stakeholders, the media, the civil society, and every one of us to ensure that at no point in time will anything other than the law that has been passed by the National Assembly is implemented anywhere. Suffice to that, assuming that they are to implement the exact document that has been passed by the National Assembly, we still have that responsibility as a parliament, to ensure that our constituents, the citizens of our great country, are not in any way shortchanged. And when these funds are taken from the people, government has promised, to channel our taxes into developmental projects. So we want to see as a parliament that these funds go into those areas that have been earmarked, already in the contemplation of parliament, so that we now begin to see our roads, being refurbished for use and the enjoyment of the people. We now want to see, because now it boils down to everyone, contributing to his own well-being.
Okay.
So we want to see a better Nigeria, and that is our own goal as a parliament. And that's exactly what the Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has always, anchored his legislative principles on.
Yeah, but still on this alteration, it's on record that the Minister of Information released the gazetted copy, which people saw the alterations, the discrepancy between what was passed by the National Assembly and what is being gazetted.
Like I said, as a parliament, our business is not what is found somewhere on the internet. We have released.
Are you dismissing what was released by the Chief Information Officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, by the person of the Minister of Information and National Orientation?
No, I'm yet to see that. What I have.
So have you invited him for?
Definitely, the committee will invite him because the committee is still working. But as a parliament, what we are telling Nigerians and what we know, the document that we pass, we have released that document. So let Nigerians now keep copies of the document that we have released, which Mr. President himself, nobody from the presidency has in any way, casted any doubt on the document which we have released, which means that what we released and what was gazetted by Mr. President does not have those issues. Those alterations are not there. So what I want to put clear out to Nigerians, you have two documents. One document coming from the institution that is responsible for the production of that document. And you have other documents from the internet. Going by the dictate of common sense, which is superior to the other? If, for instance, we have seen even discussions like this, in the court of law, where lawyers quote certain sections of the Constitution, and by further interrogation, those things are not found anywhere in the Constitution. We have seen that before.
All right, Honorable
So
Agbese.
that law is not the only document, that has alteration or some sort of discrepancies on the internet.
All right, so the issue of alterations, I am not sure
it has been laid to rest.
We'll not be able to exhaust that because
the issue of alteration has been laid to rest because we have.
The House of Representatives is still investigating. I mean, you've not yet come out with a position at the end of the investigation, have you?
Well, but the investigation has gone to a certain level, and as someone who speaks for the parliament, I understand, some of these things. There have not been any substantial presentation before the committee that anything was altered, other than the document that our colleague Dasuki found on the internet, and he presented to the committee. So there's no one anywhere.
We will wait to hear from the National Assembly at the end of your investigation.
There's no one anywhere. For instance, you have a forged certificate which you are presented for employment.
All right. So
in
quickly,
this case, no one has presented any document to the committee other than what Dasuki found on the internet.
All right, so quickly, we'd like to throw this in before we end the show. I mean, we've talked so much about the authenticity of the document, but then there are so many concerns about from the people that the National Assembly represents, you know, some of the provisions and even the manner of implementation. So you have the responsibility now to ensure that trust is restored among the people. But right now, I'm very sure it's going to be a very difficult task because the people are already complaining about the provisions in the tax laws that seem to actually take too much out of them.
Well, the law has just commenced. It is a work in progress. The parliament is not going out of work. We're here as a parliament to ensure that laws, you know, that went through the instrument of the parliament are implemented in ways and manners that they affect positively, you know, the citizens. And because it is an ongoing process, if along the line we find out that any segment, you know, of the law is having a negative effect on the well-being of the people, I can assure Nigerians that as a parliament, we will come back to amend the law.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Philip Agbese, the Deputy Spokesperson of the House of Representatives. Thank you very much indeed for making our time to be part of this discussion live on Daybreak. Thank you very much indeed.